there was a certain problem we had under the house that I won't go into. But that seems to have cleared up, so... But still, I just wanted to have a candle burning, because it is my... I can't pick it up, because it's hot. It's also from Target. The same place as my Cheers Queers mug, the same little Pride section, and it's one of those big candles, like the fat but short ones. It's a white candle, but it has a rainbow ice cream cone on it. I think it says something, but I can't read from this angle. And I was really hoping that it would melt and turn into rainbow colors, like inside the white, but they were not that fancy. They wanted my gay money, but not that much. Hashtag not sponsored by Target. Though I wouldn't be opposed to it in the future. I don't know if they sponsor YouTubers, but anyway. Right, and before I forget, the other main crochet thing I've been working on is a Graphgan of one of my pixel arts, which is... my pixel art has been cross-stitch patterns all this time. This is actually one of the ones I showed you a couple times ago. Daughter of Butterflies, the Bi Pride one. With my character, Tarlin, actually. So, I was like, it would make me happy to start doing this. And it might also lead to something like having more products in the shop. I certainly hope so, because having crochet, like color work Graphgan patterns of my pixel art would be awesome. Right now I'm just making sure it works. And I have a good friend who is also helping with a different pattern. I was like, hey, if you want to help me test these to see if they work as crochet patterns, like, just point to a pattern and I'll send you the PDF. So, Faye is also working on that. This friend uses Faye Fair pronouns, so just in case that's confusing, Faye's not a fair name. So I also like that pronoun set. I mostly use he, him, but I feel very Fae as in, like, the Fae as well. Not to mention being married to the Fairy King. I'm a god spouse of Gwyn ap Nudd, in case I didn't mention that. Also, I'm dedicated to him. So, lots of Fae stuff going on. Anyway, I'm going to show you what I have so far. It's just nothing I have to censor yet. We're not to that part of the pattern. It's just like the top of her face and her hair. Having some yarn carnage. Like the tangles down below. But it's not as bad as it looks because I have really tiny balls of yarn that I just pulled a tiny bit of yarn out from the main skein that I'm using of each color and kind of wound it up so that I can pretty easily just pull that part through and then like rewind it at the end of each section. So like if I'm done with a section that's only using a certain color over here, then I do that part and then like untangle those bits of yarn and set them to the side and then go on. It's still a pain, but it's kind of like another thing I forgot that I was going to talk about, which is coding, is like you spend most of your time debugging. This is like you spend most of your time untangling the yarn. but I think it's looking good. I basically just used yarn that I had lying around. I combined some of them to just make the right color and the right weight, kind of. It's all basically fingering weight-ish. And but having it in colors that are like close to the actual colors in the image and all the same weight would be cool. Like, I look forward to doing that. The thing is, I tried really hard to figure out what the back should be of the image, so that I could know where to put all of my strands. Like, I try to make color work mostly reversible, because I enjoy doing the type of color change where if you have just one other color, you kind of carry it inside the stitch, so it's kind of reversible. I just feel like that makes it look really nice, and it makes me feel cool that I know how to do that technique. But this one, there are just so many, I can't always do that, so I do need to have a back side for the image. The thing is, after I figured it all out, I realized I had done the exact opposite. I mean, there are only two sides. I had picked the wrong one, so the image will be reversed. But it doesn't really matter, because it's just someone going like... So she'll just be looking that way instead. I will probably show you when it's finished, but I will have to... It would be funny to, like, pin some pride buttons or something over the relevant parts that I have to censor. Here's some Buy Pride pins, like those circular pins you put on your shirt, just to cover those parts of the image. But yeah, I really enjoy being like joyful and queer about my sexuality. Speaking of like my pixel art, which is often has people with their tits out, so it's just like, yeah, I just like drawing pretty people wearing pretty things and just being joyfully queer and open, especially after how I grew up. And I try to take care that like people know that it is not safe for work, or like that it's not appropriate for people under a certain age and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm like, yeah, this is something I want to be open and proud about and just celebrate, kind of. So when I do have crochet patterns, which I am thinking of doing, even like not just my pixel art graph cans, but I would love to do some spooky crochet patterns, especially wearables, and some of them will be like all ages friendly. Like they won't all be like my pixel titties, but some of them. Well, one of the things I love crocheting for myself is lingerie, and I wasn't sure how I would sell patterns of that at first, because I'm like, but I'm a guy, so would it be creepy? Then I realized, well, okay, it's based on the patterns that I do for my own body and after my own taste. So that's something that I feel like makes it less creepy. I mean, other than like imagining someone else wearing them but I don't have personal experience of it, or I'm not sure if that makes sense, but anyway, I'm objectifying myself, okay? And also I can frame it as like, oh, these are like cute, sexy pieces to make for any body type or any gender, and it's all like queer positive and body positive. Like I think if I frame it like that, it'll be seen as like what I intended as, which is that. So that's definitely something I will be thinking about. Because a lot of my inspiration is like stuff like that. Like it's just fun. I do enjoy making stuff that's like more safer work too, but that's just fun. And yeah, I guess I didn't get into coding talk much, but I have been doing a lot of that. I realized that once I realized, yeah, I need to think about when I'm happy. I actually had this coding hyper-focus come on, and I'm still in that kind of, which is helpful because I do want to get better at coding in case I do end up working in that field, which I would like to. I'm just like, I don't know where I'm going. I feel like I'm going there really soon, but I just don't know where I'm going, and I hope my gods help me find out soon. So, it's like counting down to liftoff, but not having a heading for which star I'm heading to. So, anyway, I've been making I've been making some artistic projects in the P5 JavaScript environment, where you can make art and like graphics and stuff in the web browser with the P5 library, which is so cool. Like you instantly see something beautiful that you've made, and as a pixel artist, I'm like, I understand pixels, and that's a lot of what you need to know to make art with P5 JavaScript. So I've been making some devotional coding designs, like using spirals and math roses, which is the thing. You make them with sine and cosine. It's awesome. For various gods of mine. So that's been fun. I have also been following some of the coding train tutorials or coding challenges, which is helpful in that I can do more complicated things when I'm following along with someone rather than just trying to figure it out on my own. I'm just barely to the part where I can start to figure things out on my own, but it's still kind of hard. Like I'm really interested in fractals and recursive and the iterative functions, where something basically calls itself and then makes a cool pattern that's kind of a fractal. And so I was trying to make the Sierpinski triangle. I've tried twice. It's the triangle where you have a section in the middle taken out, and it's divided into 3 triangles with the points, and then those have the middle taken out, and there are 3 triangles on those points, and it's like that. So the first time I tried lines, and I did learn how to calculate the midpoint of a line that has 2 Cartesian coordinates, like xy, xy. And then the second time I was trying to just make a bunch of midpoints in between the points that I had, and then like just keep each time I added a point, I would calculate the midpoint between that point and the one next to it, and just add more points. So I made some sort of design, which was hopefully the Sierpinski triangle. But like I made some cool stuff, but that was not what I made. The triangle. I think the first time I was having trouble with knowing how to translate the old version of the variables into the new version so that I could start the process but in a different place, or like with different points. And the second time I was having trouble with I don't really know. Like, the points just showed up in kind of a random area. Well, I kind of understand why they showed up there, but I'm like, but I called you in this, like, I expected you to be here and you're over here, and I realize you just did exactly what I told you to, but what did I tell you to do? I'm trying to explain this as like as transparently as I can for non-coders. But I realize it's kind of like, probably sounds like technobabble, like Star Trek. But that's been really fun. I really enjoy making fractals. And I feel like recursion is such a powerful concept in coding that once I do figure out how to do it, well, I can do it sometimes, but once I get a lot better at it, then that'll be really powerful in my toolbox. And just like the fact that I'm starting to be able to know how to debug, and sometimes I can debug on my own, and sometimes I can, if I've paused the video I'm following along with, I'll test something and see that it isn't working, so I'll go, maybe it's this. And sometimes I actually identify and fix the problem, and then I continue the video, and he's had the same problem. This is Dan Schiffman on the Coding Train videos, and then he fixes it in the same way, and I'm like, yes, I have reached some sort of milestone. And other times, I have no idea what's wrong, and I'm just praying that he also has the problem. Sometimes he doesn't, and I'm like, I've clearly done something wrong, or maybe there's some sort of change in the version, since this might be an old video, or maybe it's just something that I don't have the ability to debug yet. For example, the Sierpinski triangle. I have looked up at least one version of someone doing it in P5, but I don't want to just completely base it off someone else's code. Like, obviously I would credit them, but I'm just like, no, I want to figure out a version with my own code and my own understanding of things. So I feel like it's kind of my white whale, so to speak. I'll get it one day. But until then, I have lots of other fun fractals to try to do, or just like simpler designs. Since I do have an artistic eye, I guess, or like a sense of what, like a sense of design, because I do art. I've realized it's actually, even if I can't do something fancy in the coding that I would like to do, like add a highlight with a function or something, I know how to add a highlight. It's just a lighter part of the same basic shade of color, but like a lighter version of the color, and a smaller version because it's a thin area on top of the wider thing. That makes sense. So I can do things like create a circle, say of dark red, and then add a light red circle on top. That's a thin line, so it looks like there's a red there's a highlight. So I'm proud that I've been able to do that. Other coding successes, coffee. I figured out how to make a star field, like a starry sky, using white dots. Like I called a bunch of white points, call meaning when you write the name of a function and you tell it, do the thing that is this function at this place in the code. So I called a function that created a bunch of white dots, and it scattered them at random points in the window, and it also picked a random thickness of dot between like 0 and 4 pixels, and I didn't know how to vary the thickness within each group of dots, but I called it 3 times just so I'd have a varying, like some stars white dots were really small and far away, some were bigger and closer, so it just looks kind of real as a star field. So I was proud of that. Well, since that is basically talking about the midnight sky, I will probably leave you with that, since the second part I've noticed is over 45 minutes now, at least pre-editing. I started at like 10:40 p.m. and now it's 12:17 a.m. So it is midnight. Yay! The Midnight Ballroom. Banros and I would like to wish you a good night, and thanks for hanging out with me, and let's dance again at the next midnight.